You described the terrific freight rate volatility. Could you describe the effects that this volatility has on Cargill's sort of operations and management?
Right. So the freight volatility has an impact for Cargill in quite some ways. We work with mainly annual contracts with the shipping lines. So the first effect, what you see, if there's a lot of volatility on the spot market, that your contracted rates are lower priced than the spot market or higher priced. So if they are lower priced than the market, that means often we get issues around space and equipment constraints. And when we're higher priced than the market, well, for us not so much of an issue because we also work with longer term contracts, but what we still see also when we are higher priced compared to the market is that the shipping lines might believe if the cargo is not there, and we kind of have also a bias on our forecast that they kind of anticipate on that volume, but the volume is not there, and then they lose out of revenues. So that's kind of the way how the volatility is impacting our market, and also pricing the freight to our end customers. Because in the long-term contracts we have with our customers, we also need to price in the cost of the freight, which is a relatively large portion of the total price for food products or commodities.
Okay. And obviously, one way of mitigating freight rate volatility has been the use of container freight derivatives. It doesn't seem to have been very popular amongst either shipping lines or a lot of shippers, but what's your experience of container freight derivatives?
Yeah, our first experience with container derivatives was a few years ago, where we actually also actively traded the FFA product. The reason we did it was to hedge our forward exposure. So it was for one of our trading commodities, and for us we wanted to have a fixed price over the next couple of months, the quarter. So that's where it was very helpful for us to actually hedge our freight exposure on the volatile spot market via the hedging products. It's not very popular in the market. I think I heard a few years ago that shipping lines were of the impression it was more like a gamble instead of a hedge. I think a good example with the current low freight rates, if shipping lines used only a portion of their long position they have on the freight, they could have had way better revenues. It's something, if you are long by nature, at least like the bunker, hedge part of the forward exposure.
In your experience, have they, given the volatility, especially the last sort of 18 months, is there any sign amongst the carriers that they might be more interested in using it? Has it come into your discussions with them at all?
No, I haven't heard it, but I would encourage, because you step aside from the discussion around prices all the time. So if they can hedge their long-term exposure, we can also talk about service. And of course that hedge needs to be at a good level, that at least they run on positive margins. But that's the market to decide how long they can be on that market. But at least that they hedge part of the exposure they have.
And finally, you mentioned there about sort of service quality and stuff. In your speech, you talked about bringing in KPIs. Just wondered if you could give us some examples of what sort of KPIs you as a shipper would be looking to have with your carriers?
Right. So that is twofold. We have the quantitative KPIs, vessel, schedule reliability, booking turn time, documentation turn time, and that are actually all the data we get from that. It's from the carriers, so it's not that we tell them, okay, this is how you do on the different service criteria. They tell us, and that we have a discussion about it. So it's a positive thing because we now introduced quarterly review meetings with the carriers. So instead of you tender for 1 year and then after the year you're going to look back what you both did. From our side we say, hey, we are not completely satisfied with your service. From the carrier side they say, well, you haven't shipped what you promised me or nominated me. So that we have a more active discussion around service quality. But that's on the quantitative side. On the qualitative side, it's still a lot of the individual experience of people within the company. How do they value the relationship? How do they value the complaints resolution? So do they really help them out if there's a problem? So we have a survey, a quarterly survey, to capture that, and we will also address the feedback to the carriers to have a bit of more background on the quantitative KPIs.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, thanks very much.